So yeah, contact a professional on that. Us, us, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. Welcome again to the Selling Sunshine Q&A. We are here with Daniel Nagera. Daniel Nagera is with
Home Mortgage Houston.
Home Mortgage Houston. There's so many mortgages. I didn't know where the Houston went. But I've been working with Daniel for the longest time. One of the things that I like about him is his specialties. But before going into that, Daniel, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you celebrated your 15-year anniversary.
Yes.
Okay. That was 15 years in the mortgage business, or what? Tell me.
Yeah, Elda, very proudly we celebrated 15-year milestone. That was just a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for coming over.
Yeah,
it was a great event. Very proud to say that I'm one of the few lenders, local lenders, have been staying in business. I'm actually been doing it for 20 years, but I started Home Mortgage Houston 15 years ago, and then we just grow every year. You know, we expanded every year. So yeah, 15 years. And the best is yet to come.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So your office is actually located in the Woodlands, or?
Yeah, so our main office is in the Woodlands, but we also have, because ever since COVID, we all work remotely. So we have one in downtown, two in downtown. This has been one of them. One in West Houston, by the Energy Corridor, and the one in the Woodlands. So yes, awesome. Conveniently located for whatever side of town, and we're pretty sure you can get to it fairly quick.
Awesome. I was very impressed at your gathering, right, for your 15th anniversary. How many people were there? And not only that, your whole team was there. So tell me a little bit about your team, because I know that you gave them prizes, right?
Yes, recognitions, awards.
Yes, But they were all in different areas. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I bet. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's been doing this for so long, Elda. Like I had come to a conclusion that you have to focus on one specific side of the business, So I have 5 teams in my firm. We have the residential team that handles all the FHA, conventional, USD, ABA. We got the international team that handles all of our international buyers from across the globe. Anywhere in the world you want to invest in the US, we got a team that does that every day, all day. We got a commercial team that handles new construction, churches, gas stations, hotels. We got a industrial team that handles all the machinery, heavy equipment. And of course, my marketing team that takes care of all our marketing material. And the event was put together by Melissa, my marketing director, and Karen, which handles all my social media. So yeah, everybody. That's why it's compartmentalized into each duty is done by a specific person. Yeah. However, because we're small brokerage, we're a small firm, every single client talks to me. I take that very proudly, very serious. I have to make sure I build a rapport with the client and then find out which is going to be the best program for them, and then I delegate it to that specific team.
Yeah, and that is definitely true, because that's how he works with my clients.
That's right.
He talks to them first, and then they kind of go away to the department where they need to be.
That's right, and we have successfully completed a few transactions, so thank you much for the trust.
Most definitely.
We nailed every single one of them. So
yes, well, thank you. But let's talk. I'm very excited and want to know a little bit more about international, because right now it's what's in. Everybody's doing international. So I have a couple of clients that are looking to buy in the U.S. Who can qualify for that? What kind of legal status do they need to have?
So a foreign buyer is that one who does not reside in the U.S. Okay, you have to show proof that you live outside the U.S., you work outside the U.S., and you eligible to become a foreign investor. Okay, why is that? A lot of people is an ITIN buyer, a international buyer. No, he's not. He resides in the U.S. He's got a presence in the U.S. Therefore, that program is not for them. And surprisingly, these type of programs offer interest rate just as good as a conventional local buyer. Oh, wow. Mind you, these buyers don't have any credit history in the U.S. or income in the U.S. All they have is a visa. And they have to show proof they have the ability to repay the debt from whatever country they're from. And they also have to show proof of their tax returns and credit report from their country, But that's not a determining factor to get them financing. Why is that? As long as they have 30% down at least, it's about 90% approval ratio for these buyers. And they have to have an expired visa for this type of foreign nationals.
So visa just for traveling, tourist visa. So it doesn't necessarily have to be any other type of visa.
No, It doesn't have to be a resident permanent or a work permit. As a matter of fact, once they have a resident permanent visa, they're no longer a foreign national. They have to qualify with the guidelines from within the US. They have to have 2 years tax returns. Now, a lot of buyers tell me, hey, Daniel, I have a visa, but I just applied for my B1 visa, an investor visa, right? And I'm gonna get assigned a social security. So I'd rather wait till I get my new. I say, wait, hold on. Once you become a U.S. resident, permanent resident, or any type of social, you have to wait 2 years so that you can get your tax returns in the U.S. Right now, you're more lendable with your profile as a foreign national. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's the way that.
Because then they would have to wait. Is there anything that can be done like in between?
No, that's called a hybrid. It's kind of like a hybrid. You're not quite there, but you're here. So it's on a case by case basis. We have to provide enough compensating factors. And then it's gonna all of these loans. By the way, every single one of our loans we fund them in house. Elda, we fund the deal and then we carry them on for about 6 months, and then we sell it to a secondary market. Like BBVA, Wells Fargo, Chase, and things like that. So. A lot of the decisions made is within me and the committee, So yeah, we have a lot more leverage.
Okay, sounds good. And these people that are actually getting the loan from outside, how do you get a credit report from them? They use their credit score from their country? You mentioned that they can.
Yes.
But how do you actually know how to get it?
Well, all of these underwriters, including myself and my international team, a lot of my international loan partners, I call them. Number one, they understand tax returns for different countries, from the UK, from Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia. So you have to understand the currency from that country, and the lifestyle and how it works, the ability to repay the loan, So, for example, the IRS in other countries, Mexico, for example, is called el SAT, Secretaría de Hacienda y Turismo. So tienes que entender esa terminología, tienes que saber qué son saldos insolutos, tienes que saber cuáles son las tasas de intereses. So todo eso es muy importante para el inversionista extranjero. Ya te confundí. Lo digo en español porque este video lo van a ver gente de otros países de habla española.
Sí, claro.
Entonces es importante saber toda esta información.
Sí.
Y por eso mis loan partners es todo lo que hacen. Ellos entienden. Entonces, cuando tú tienes tu cabeza envuelta en un cierto tipo de crédito, que es y luego lo quieres brincar a un FHA, donde hay asistencias del gobierno, no, vas a fallar. Algún lado se te va a confundir. Yo lo sé, yo lo entiendo, y por esa razón es de que, y muchos de mis loan partners, Daniel, pero es que quiero, le digo, no, you're good where you're at, And as a leader, you have to recognize what department each person is going to be successful at,
Right.
And so yeah, I hope I didn't confuse
you. No, you did, but it's okay, because I'm not doing the numbers. You are.
Exactly,
That's why you are the lender.
You leave it up to me, so we get a handle.
Yes. So let me ask you something. If, for example, I traveled to Mexico last year, and I was very impressed by how many U.S. citizens live over there, and they work with a company here in the U.S. Are they considered foreigners because they live in Mexico? But they get paid dollars.
Dollars, right? Mind you, I don't lend outside the U.S. Okay, all of our lending that we do, our collateral has to be in the U.S. So you can be from any part of the world except China, Venezuela, and Nigeria. We don't lend to those countries for political reasons, whatever. But yeah, we can. If we're from any part of the world, we can lend as long as the property is here in the U.S. In all 50 states, I got licensed in all 50 states, so. Any state of the U.S., we can get lending here. But what you're saying, if somebody is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and is currently residing in Mexico and earning U.S. dollars, that's a different type of profile. And I do have a referral for you. We just had, very proudly, we were a sponsor, Prestige Motors 2025 golf tournament in Cancun, Mexico. I was one of the sponsors for that event. And we had over 200 players coming from all over Mexico, toda la República Mexicana. And I got to meet a banker who finances people from the U.S. who wants to invest in Mexico. So I'm not going to be your lender for if you want to buy in Mexico, but I can put you in contact with the banker who handles those type of financing.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So now let's switch things. Okay. Now there's a lot of programs right now, and there's a lot of people that are selling these resorts in Cancun, in
Tulum.
Puerto Vallarta, in Tulum,
Right.
in what is that other place called allá por Mexico? Anyways, there's a
Playa
lot.
del Carmen? No?
Sí, más o menos por allá,
Okay.
todo por allá. But what they're doing is they're actually selling it to the U.S. citizens with loans from Mexico. So I don't necessarily understand how that can happen. Can someone just say, I have my own lender and bring you in?
So if I understand it correctly, so you're saying these companies who are selling their resorts or their townhomes or condominiums in Mexico, they're selling to U.S. citizens. Again, that's a financing that I cannot do. However, a lot of these properties are expensive.
Yeah,
They're like
they are.
a million, over $1 million,
dollars.
sometimes
Yeah.
like $3 million, right? And so I actually traveling to Mexico to meet with this banker. It's a lot of things going on, right? I'm not gonna route the conversation to that, but yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, we have this particular realty company has sold a lot of properties to foreign nationals, cash, right? And they bought properties $500,000, $2, $3 million, whatever, right? And now they want to invest in Mexico. Well, what they're doing, we're cashing out on their properties here in the U.S. at a 6.25% interest rate, and they invest in that money in Mexico buying these expensive properties. And on Airbnb, the ROI, the return on investment, is exponentially. So I'm not financing the property in Mexico, but I'm using the collateral they have here that is free and clear, and use that money at a very low rate to reinvest in Mexico. You know, so there's some
ways.
there's way.
Yeah,
There's like
ways.
you have to be diversified today, Elda, to be able to, cater and survive. The market's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. I do see a growing in investors. Everybody wants to be an investor, right? And with that in mind, a lot of people don't know where to go to. And so they're investing, they're trying to invest outside of the country, inside of the country, and just all over the place. So for that reason, they do need to be very informed.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's go into commercial financing now. I know you're helping one of my clients for commercial property.
Yes.
So tell me about commercial, because a lot of people are confused when they buy commercial. We have a lot of new investors as well, as I was saying before, that are looking into buying commercial. They don't have an LLC, they don't have a business. How do they get started?
So if you have a borrower or a buyer who wants to invest in commercial, first you have to understand it's a completely different type of product. Okay, it's different. Unlike residential, there's guidelines, and there's a matrix that every underwriter goes by. Okay, conventional loans are backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. FHA loans are backed by the government, so the guidelines are the guidelines. Commercial is completely different. There's no guidelines. There's something called KYC, know your customer. So it starts with getting the curriculum from the customer and see how lendable the customer is as them themselves, and then the project itself. Is the project cash flowing, right? And if at any given time, if the project doesn't perform, can the partners or the buyers have the ability to repay the debt? So it's a combination of three things: know the customer, know the project, and and also what's the appetite that certain bank has for that project. Like for an example, your client, they're looking for a warehouse. If I knock the door at Frost Bank, hey, I got a client who's got all the ducks on the road, excellent credit, great financials, but it's like, Daniel, I don't want warehouses right now. I got too many money laying down on warehouses, but I entertain a church or a gas station, so it depends on what type of appetite the bank has for that particular project. So there's going to be many things that come into it. And for that, again, you have us, and I have a department that handles just commercial lending, right? Every day. So I meet with my team every Monday and every Wednesday. We touch every single file of the pipeline to understand where it's at, if the timeline needs to be met. So once you want to transition from residential, whether you're a real estate agent or a new investor, get with us. There's a way to make yourself lendable, okay? So don't just venture out there like, no. And mind you, as a lender, we take all the risk, Elda. We want to, why are they asking me for so much? You coming up with the down payment, with the 70% of the risk or 80% of the risk is on us. So So we basically want to make sure that the project is going to be profitable, for you. If you're not making money, you're not going to repay your debt. So we all lose, So yeah, contact a professional on that. Us. Us. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about multifamily? Is a duplex considered a multifamily?
It is a multifamily, yes, ma'am. A duplex up to 8 units, we consider residential. And then we can, anything over 8 units, now that's going to be on the commercial side of things. So yes, we can still do a duplex as a multifamily that follows under the residential guidelines. Correct.
You mentioned the cash flow of the business in order to be able to lend. Let's say it's a business that hasn't gotten started and that doesn't have a business yet. How do you prove those numbers? How do you come up with those numbers to provide the
if it's a business that has not been running yet? Or
yeah, for example, they're buying a lot. Okay, they're going to build in the lot a business. We don't have numbers yet. How can you loan them the money to make sure that it's going to be flowable?
Right. So, for example, if they want to buy the lot, the first question is going to be, what do they want to do with the lot, right? Are they going to build it to do what? Daniel, we own a car wash, right? And we want to do the build up for it, which, by the way, we can lend the whole project, right? We can lend to buy the lot and whatever the cost of the project construction is. Now, if let's say it's a car wash, for an example, we first and foremost, do you have experience in car washes? And Daniel, I own restaurants. Also, you don't have experience in car washes. So that's okay. That doesn't mean you're ineligible, but we want to make sure that your other businesses having enough cash flow to sustain this new business. Does that make sense? So even just because you never done it before, and also a lot of these partners, Zelda, like it's our case, it had happened. There's like several different buyers. One of them is an engineer. The other one is a doctor. So their personal financials is also part of the cash flow that we add into the entire global cash flow that we have.
So that works.
So yeah, it's complex. It's never gonna be black and white.
Yeah.
And then then like I get phone calls all the time, and they expect me to give a yes or no answer. It's never gonna be yes or no. There's so many things that are gonna change.
Okay, let's talk about investors. What are some of the common misconceptions for investors that have with commercial financing?
I wouldn't say like a problem. It's more like
concern,
misinformed. Yeah, they're like misinformed. They haven't quite land with the right team, and every investor that I work with, funny enough, Elda, from the time they started, they have like a goal in mind, right? Or a dream, if you want to call it. From the time we finish our first 2 or 3 meetings, because that's how long it takes to land something, they redirection the entire thinking about doing things, even to the project that they want to do. I want to build a car wash here. We turn to do a parking lot for 18-wheelers on the land, when initially want to do a car wash. So all these things, and they appreciate that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're the pros. We got to make sure that it matches, what their profile is, their financials versus the type of project that, they want to do. So the sustainability on a car wash was a lot more higher, financially speaking, than a parking lot. The overhead, and it was more profitable because they already had the connections with a lot of truck drivers. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, I like that project better. Like today, what I was telling you downstairs, I have a meeting with one, you've been to Old Town Spring? Guys, yeah. So Old Town Spring is like one of those little towns who's been in Houston in forever, right? Yeah. So we're redeveloping one of the corners. Mind you, this is like a preserved city that it has to be very, very specific to whatever you want to build. So he wants to sit down with us. He owns like 2 acres right in the corner of Old Town Springs. Like, I want to revamp this town. And so I'm meeting with 2 bankers, myself, 5 of the partners, and that's how we strategize what's the most profitable thing to do on that particular business. So when it comes to commercial financing as a whole, get with the pros, it's so important, Yeah.
How does appraisal affect any of the businesses for commercial?
So it depends, right? Like anything else. What are we appraising? Are we appraising the real estate as just as the real estate itself, or are we appraising the business as a cash flowing business?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if it's going back to a multifamily, for example, if it's 8, 10, 12 units,
Mm-hmm.
now we're gonna appraise the property, how much is cash flowing on top of whatever the real estate is worth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're just gonna appraise it as a real estate as it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called AR appraisal, account receivables appraisal, you know. So it's a combination of how much the property is worth versus how much is cash flowing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how you appraise. You
So
know?
tell us a little bit about the DSCR
Mhm.
loans, because I know you have them.
Yeah.
And are they better for commercial, and even maybe is that something that outside people from the U.S. qualify for? Is it offered to just about anyone?
Yeah, any investor can be eligible for DSCR. Now,
Okay.
mind you, DSCR is not going to offer you the best interest rate per se, you know, because there's really no documentation on those, so the rate is going to be higher than any other type of loan. So yeah, if DSCR is eligible, there's credit score driven as well, you know, on those type of loans, and there's like cap limitations, you know, there's prepaid penalties on these type of loans as well.
Mhm.
So it's really going to come down to what is the best fit for that particular buyer or investor at the time, you know. But this, you can do a DSCR on commercial financing, though. That's only residential. It's strictly residential.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. How can us agents help you get a client ready? I know the first one. I know the first one.
Yeah. Go, Elna.
Don't do it.
Go.
Don't try to advise your client on something you do not know. Correct?
Yes. No, but a lot of agents know a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of agents, they do know a lot. But the disadvantage is that this is constant changing.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so what you thought you knew a year ago,
Mhm.
now it's different, you know? And so now, this is the thing. Once you tell your clients something, because they're going to trust you first and foremost, right? It's hard to change on whatever you have told them, you know? So always kind of like work together. Like you and I have been doing it. You know, I love the fact like we schedule the phone call, the initial interview, like I like to call it.
Mhm.
That's when we collectively land on what's best for them, get to know what they want to do, and set the tone. Set the tone how the transaction is going to take place, you know?
Mhm.
From the very get-go, we're the pros. Like, please listen to us. Let us guide you to the right way to do things for things to be successful. If the client wants to do things their way, it's usually not going to work out, you know? So from the very get-go, we kind of have to understand we're a good fit, you know, how everything's going to work out, you know? So how can you help a lender to make the transaction smoother? I think the initial conversation, you know, like, hey, you know what? Let's get with my lender. Let's discuss what you want to do, and then we land on the goal. Yeah, yeah.
Is there any documentation that you'd like for us to have ready for you at our first appointment?
No. I like to call it 3 C's: credit, collateral, and cash.
Mhm.
At least ask those 3 questions. See if they meet any of those 3, right? If they don't have the credit, at least they gotta have a collateral, which is properties paid off, because we can do what's called cross-collateralization. If they don't have the down payment, we can cross-collateralize, put a lien on their property that's worth $300,000, use $200,000 of that. That's assets, right? We use that money, some of the equity, to put as a down payment on the project.
Mhm.
Or cash, right? If they don't have the credit or the collateral, but they have the cash. So ask those 3 questions. Do you meet any of those 3? If they don't have the credit or the collateral, or they don't have the cash, yeah, we're not gonna get anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very briefly, Daniel, tell
Yeah.
me some of the programs, because I know you do it all. So just very briefly, because I know we touched on commercial and we touched on international loans. What other kind of loans?
So, like I said, we are a full financial firm. You know, we can deploy funds from conventional. Now, we take very pride on our conventional loans. We close loans in 5 days. That's our goal. From the moment we submit the file to the moment we get a clear to close, 5 days. That's because we have a team, like an assembly line.
Mhm.
One of my teammates is chasing verifications of employment, tax returns, while the other one is already working on the credit or an appraisal. So in 5 days, we get a clear to close, you know, all the check boxes. So conventional financing, FHA financing, USDA for veterans, on top of, we just came out with our new, thank you for putting it in here.
Yeah.
We came out with this new booklet and that would tell you a lot of the programs we do as well. So to get this on the mail, just
Contact
DM
him.
us.
Yeah. So how do we get a hold of you?
Home Mortgage _ Houston. That's our webpage. And our webpage for Instagram as well as Facebook. Or you can look us at homemortgagehouston.com on the web. Or you can call me directly at 832-860-1417 or call my assistant at 832-302-7512.
Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel,
Thank you,
for
Amanda.
having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you as
Always.
always.
Yes. Thank
Thanks.
you.